Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Sports Buzz presented by 1450 WXVW, the Big X Sports Radio, also simulcast on 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Greg Brom, and we are fortunate tonight for the first time. We have a new guest who is making her first appearance on the Sports Buzz set, Lindsay Goff, CN2. She hosts everything over there.
Spectrum News now.
Spectrum News.
Right, yes.
Spectrum News. But if you turn on Spectrum News, you will see Lindsay, the host of Sports Night, now the host of Kentucky Sports Television. And she's here with us tonight. We're so glad to have you on board.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. Big weekend, big week of sports. We're going to start off with the Preakness, and it looks like we're going to have another chance for a Triple Crown as what a race yesterday. It was a tremendous race. Justify wins. He holds off some late charges from Bravazzo tenfold. Good Magic, and he had a match race look like. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm driving in fog like that, I'm pulling over.
I don't know how they did the call. You can't see anything. I saw a video from up top, and you couldn't even see the horses coming out of that final turn into that last stretch. I don't know how they did the call on NBC.
I don't know. The camera angle was great because they had to use the rear angle on the stretch
incredible.
Over the top. But I mean, Justify 2 races, 1 in the mud. I mean, he's had some tough conditions.
I think he might be a mudder.
You think so? I mean, if they have a nice day, I'm going to be worried about it.
I know, right?
But Good Magic, it looked like a match race. They're battling down the back stretch. In fact, Good Magic pulled in front a couple of times. But you know what? As they come around the third turn into the fourth turn, I think you did see Justify hit that other gear.
Yes.
He started to pull away. And, it was a great race.
It was a fantastic race. And I think Good Magic ran a lot like people expected him to run in the Derby. He kind of lived up to his hype there, but Justified is just a special, special horse, it looks like.
Yeah, special horse, special athlete, and held on at the end. Now, let me ask you, at the very end, Bravazzo coming out of nowhere, almost catches Justify. You had Tenfold making a move. You had a very exciting finish. Do you feel better after watching this race, better or worse about Justify's chances for a Triple Crown? And I say worse, assuming what you knew before the race and assuming he was going to win the Preakness. Coming out of the Derby race or coming out of the Preakness race, do you feel better or worse that this horse can win the Triple Crown?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I feel better. I think the horses that he ran against this weekend ran better than the horses Derby Day. I think that they performed better. So I think that his win shows more about what he's capable of doing.
You know, I like that because I think he
Does that make
showed
sense?
some. Yeah, I think he showed some competitiveness.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't a breeze. He wasn't way out in front of the other horses.
Exactly.
He actually had to battle a main rival, and then he kind of had to feel the heat coming from behind. You're right, Bravazzo. They were a much better race. The other horses were in contention the entire way, and I think it was a truer test of it's like a team that gets tested in the tournament, and they win the close game. He proved he can win the close race.
That's right. And he did it in the fog. He's done it in the rain. Are they going to have tornadoes? I don't know what's going to happen.
I didn't think the weather could get worse, but that's worse maybe than the Derby, even though that rain was ridiculous. It just rained the entire day.
Oh, trust me, I was in it. I know.
Oh, man, I tell you what, you were out in it. Looking ahead to the Belmont, okay? You got some tough horses now. You got horses that have a 5-week layoff from the Derby coming back. You're going to have Audible, who ran a really good Derby race. Probably the second choice or second best with Good Magic choice in the race. He's coming back rested. Todd Pletcher has a better record in the Belmont for sure than he ever had in the Preakness. My boy Jack, who was my Derby pick, but comes off the pace, and he's a late charger. I think Salamini might run, even though if I'm Baffert, I'm not running my horse. I'm not running a competition. I'm keeping my other horses out of there. Vino Rosso, who I believe Vino Rosso, he won one of those Derby preps leading up.
Yes.
That's a tough field now. I mean, if this horse wins a Triple Crown, I mean, he's going to beat the best of the best.
I think the Derby field was tough. I think this weekend was tough. I think all the fields have been tough. And I almost want to look at it, he won't have fresh legs like maybe some of these other horses you mentioned, but at the same time, say, a football team coming out of a bye week. We always wonder, are they going to have to shake the rust off? They had a week off. Is that good or is it bad? So maybe it's a good thing. You know, he's gotten used to it. He's in a flow at this point. You could look at it either way.
No, I like that because it's kind of like when you get in one of these NBA playoff series and, you don't throw a clunker, but you win a close one. Okay, that woke us up. We're awake. Yeah. We're awake now. He had a challenge, okay? He had to come back, he twisted his ankle or wherever he did.
After
the Derby. So you were wondering, how's he going to feel? How's that going to be in the race? Now he gets 3 weeks. He's battle tested. Now, he's still a young pup. I mean, he hadn't raced a whole lot. But would you say the chances are better than 50% that this horse wins the Triple Crown? Better or worse?
I haven't seen the odds, and I don't think we know the full field just yet, but my gut says better than 50.
Better. I'm going to go
I'm
with
buying in the hype.
You know what? I'm going with Baffert, too. I'm going with Baffert.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
The guy, he's going to do everything the same as he did with American Pharoah. He's going to train the horse.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he found the formula. Nobody can figure it out. He figured it out. Okay? He's got a great jockey. It's going to be, and this is the time that horse racing is fun is when you're going for the Triple Crown. They got another chance this year. I saw some of the TV ratings. So, of course, Louisville's the top-rated Preakness market.
No shocker.
No shocker at all. I mean, but they love horse racing.
They had record attendance over the weekend.
You know what? I wonder how they're pulling that off in that weather.
I don't know, but I like to see that. People say the sport is dying, and I don't think that's true.
Well, I tell you what. I woke up Saturday morning. I turned on TV. And I thought I was watching the Derby, but it was the royal wedding. Everybody has the hat. They got the hats. It looked like Derby Day.
Same thing.
Close. I mean, I don't know what's
there.
bigger. I think the Derby might be a little bit bigger than the royal wedding.
I think it depends who you ask.
We're here with Lindsey Goff. We're going to talk. We talk horse racing. We're going to talk basketball, football, NBA playoffs. And look, you can't have a sports buzz without Jurich and Pitino. They're not even here. We'll talk about them for the next 5 years on this show.
We really will.
We will. So we'll be right back. We're here with the host of Sports Night and Kentucky Sports Television on Spectrum News. Lindsey Goff joins us tonight. Her first time on the show.
First time.
And hopefully it's not allowed. We'll scare her away. She's like, no,
you
what
guys
I'm
want
going
me
on
back,
that show. Yeah, no. We're blessed to have your presence on the show tonight, Lindsey. We are. But tell our audience a little bit about yourself. Your background and how you got in broadcasting. How'd you get here?
Okay, so I went to UK. I graduated in 2015. I went there as an agricultural biotechnology major on almost a full scholarship. And I had this epic meltdown about how much I hate math. And my mom was like, well, you like sports all the time. Why don't you get paid to talk about it? And I was like, it's genius. So I switched to broadcast, went through UK. I worked in the athletic department my senior year. I graduated. I took a job at WBKO in Bowling Green. I was a news reporter, anchor, and producer, but they let me do sports from time to time. So I covered the Brom squad a little bit down in Bowling Green. I got offered a job here in Louisville doing Sports Night and KSTV as a reporter, and I fill in anchor and that sort of thing back in 2016. I've been here ever since.
That's great, and I know you guys have watched her on Spectrum News. I'm glad to have her here tonight. One of the favorite topics of Kentucky Sports Television, I know, is Tom Jurich and Rick Pitino. Okay,
we actually don't talk about them at all.
What?
We only talk about Kentucky. I get a lot of grief from Louisville fans. I cover Louisville predominantly for most of my time in Louisville, and I get a lot of grief from Louisville fans as a Kentucky graduate. So I like to be fair. So when I'm talking about Kentucky, I'm only talking about Kentucky. I'm not here to rag on Louisville. I talk about Kentucky. If it affects Kentucky, I will talk about it. We're probably going to address Pitino trying to keep Romeo Langford from Nike schools because that affects Kentucky. But I don't feel that as a Kentucky graduate and on a Kentucky show, we need to rag on Rick Pitino.
All right, so the Louisville fans will feel free to watch and tune in for sure. And I don't know if you ever heard the saying, Lindsey, that you really can't rewrite history. Well, I think maybe you can, because the Tom Jurich settlement, I believe, has made a very strong attempt to rewrite history. Okay, forget what happened 8 months ago.
We didn't mean it.
Tom retired. He retired in great standing, and the only thing short, in this settlement, he got all the money, he got all the tickets,
For 20 years.
Yeah, for 20 years. The only thing missing was the parade. They didn't,
Or a statue of
it
some
might be.
sort.
I tell you what, this settlement, though, I mean, really, I think Tom basically got what his contract said he was due if he was let go without cause. And I think for cause, I think the university probably, and you don't know what Tom was asking for. He could have been asking for a lot more than he actually got, and this is a settlement somewhere in between. But the university really, the way it looks, he got most of what he was due, and it's going to be hard to make a for-cause case against Tom. I mean, he was removed a bit from anything that went on in the Pitino. I mean, he endorsed Pitino, but for cause is going to be a tough case to make.
Well, in the Louisville Athletic Department, too, has suffered so many setbacks with the money they have to pay back from the Katina Powell scandal, and they've lost donors, all these other things. Do they really want to go to court with Tom Jurich and drag this out and have people, information that should have stayed within the athletic department, things getting out, and that could affect their stuff with Rick Pitino that's still going on? There was a lot to lose, I think, for Louisville. And when you really look at everything that Tom Jurich did, and we don't know what kind of case they really had against him, but just everything he did for the school, I think it was in their best interest to just be like, okay, we're going to pay you. We're just going to leave this on good terms and, move forward.
I think it was a good move, too. I really do, because a lot of people have fond feelings about everything that went on in this settlement. They have fond feelings about everything Tom built.
Absolutely.
This settlement actually gives the fan base permission to like Tom.
Yeah.
Like you're able
You
to
don't have to pick Tyree or Tom.
You
can
don't.
like them
you
both.
can like them both. You can bring him back in the family. You can see him at a game because he will be at games.
He said he was
will
coming.
He will be at games. He's going to
I don't
watch.
know if
It's
I
going
would
to be
come
a
if I
proud
were-
pop.
if
He's
I
going to
were
be
him,
a
but-
proud grandfather. That's what he's
Yeah.
going to be. A proud grandfather to the facilities, the programs. So I think the fan base now, it's okay to go up to Tom and say, "Hey, thanks, Tom, for what you did." I think the university got to write their letter and got to really hit hard and strike at him and get that out in the open. I think they've been holding that in, and they couldn't wait to get that out in that letter. Now that letter's gone, but we all know it was written. But it's all gone from the record. They make nice, and everybody can get along into the future and kind of put this behind them.
Well, in Louisville, too, now under new leadership with Neely Bendapudi at president and Vince Tyree, the permanent athletic director. So I think now that they have permanent people in place, they were in a position to do this. And now everyone at Louisville can really embrace the new and take a step forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And even with, I think a lot of the board of trustees, the reason Tom maybe, that there was some animosity towards him wasn't even, it was less to do about what happened with Rick Pitino and more about the Ramsey relationship. Whatever that was, whatever was going on there, I think that's where they had the hard feelings toward Tom, some of the board.
His contract, I mean, people couldn't even figure out really how much money he was owed because it had been amended and changed so many times under President Ramsey that it was hard to even understand what Tom Jurich was really getting from Louisville. So I think there were some hard feelings that he kind of accepted all of that.
Yeah, I agree. So Tom gets this settlement. I think that he's going to have the seats for 20 years. You got permission to bring him back into the family. A good thing that happens for both sides is you don't get deposed. Both sides don't go into a lawsuit where everything Tom knows is going to be brought up. The dirt will be flying. And I think the university, they get to keep that behind closed doors, some of that mudslinging.
And they need that right now. I
They
truly think
they need that. Turn the page, move forward. Now, let me ask you this, and we're going to get to Rick in the next segment. But looking at the settlement Tom got, okay, how does that make you feel about what might happen with Pitino? Does it affect the way you think about any potential settlement with Rick Pitino? Insofar as, do you think Pitino's more likely to get a majority of the money he's owed on the contract, less likely, or do you think there's no chance there's a settlement there? They're going to fight. And what does this settlement make you think anything about the Pitino deal?
I think they're still going to trial with that. I really do, because Rick Pitino keeps talking, and I know we're going to get to that, and he keeps making himself look worse and worse and worse. And I think Louisville is going to fight him tooth and nail to not pay him out because
Yeah, okay.
I think they really hold him responsible.
But we hope he keeps talking. Please keep talking.
It's good for us in the media.
I tell you what, I'm on the edge of my seat. Give me
He's
more.
pulling
Give me
back
more.
the curtain, and I'm trying to peek through. You know.
All right, so we're here with Lindsey Goff, going to talking about Tom Juris. We'll hit on Rick Pitino when we come back in the Sunday Sports Buzz. Welcome back to the Sunday Sports Buzz, brought to you by 1450 WXVW, the Big X Sports Radio, simulcast on 96.1. You can hear such stars like Trevor Kelsey every day on 1450. My cousin Nick Roush. I don't know, you know Nick?
Yeah, they had me
Yes,
on once. I went to school with Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's related to me. Isn't
So
it
I've
amazing
heard.
to that
I'm sorry,
that-
no, I'm
there's
I love
a
Nick.
blue blood in that family. I didn't know it existed, but Nick
there.
is there. Yes.
there.
So TJ Walker, you got a bunch of guys on 1450. Make sure you tune in, and we're here with Lindsey and Rick Pitino. Every time he says he's not going to do an interview, I can't.
There he is again.
I know it's coming. I know it's coming soon. And this latest one, what did you take from the latest interview? I know he kind of threw some when he explains himself. I can't tell if he's throwing shade on people like Romeo Langford
A
a
little
little bit on the system, or what? I don't know. Is he doing? Do you think he's doing any good for himself?
No, I don't think he's doing any good for himself. Tom Jurich got all this money, and he let his lawyers do the talking for him. You didn't hear from Tom Jurich except that one interview that he did on, I believe it was WHAS 11, and Rick Pitino's doing the polar opposite. He's talking to anybody that'll listen to him. So if you want to come on, Rick, I mean, we're waiting for you. But no, I don't think he's doing any good by talking, and I think he's kind of exposing himself, backtracking a little bit. He said all along, shoe companies need to get out of basketball. Adidas doesn't do this. Louisville, we're not doing that. We're not using shoe companies to get recruits. You kind of just said that you were. You were trying to tell Adidas not to hurt you when they started recruiting him at UCLA, and you were asking, you had a meeting with Adidas talking about keeping him away from Nike and Under Armour schools. So that's kind of the opposite of what you've been saying.
Yeah, you know what? I've been one of the few people I actually believe, Rick, that he did not know the Catino Powell thing was going on.
I believe that.
I don't think he knew that there was illegal payments happening in this Adidas thing.
The
okay?
Bowen, I'm more skeptical about. I do believe him on Catino Powell.
Okay. And there's more, the reason you're more skeptical is this, because everybody knows it goes on. I mean, you're not saying when you say, I didn't know it happened, I didn't know that was happening. I don't think Rick's saying, I didn't know this goes on in college basketball. Of course, everybody knows it goes on. He's saying in this instance, he did not know that Bowen was getting any money at all, and he did not participate in negotiating that. That's kind of what he's saying. So I don't think he's doing any good for himself, but I don't know if he said anything inconsistent with that. Inconsistent with, I didn't know there was an illegal thing going on
that's
here.
True.
I
he
was
does
doing what
act like
everybody's
an
doing.
innocent man. If I were accused of something that I did not do,
Yes.
I'd be telling everybody, I didn't do this. I didn't know. I would keep talking about it and putting it out there. So in that sense,
You're exactly right. He is doing that.
in that
Because
sense,
if he was not saying nothing, everybody thinks he's guilty. A lot of times you'll see somebody, he's not talking, he must be guilty.
Yeah.
He's talking. Now,
Maybe too much.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you got the text messages all
Mm-hmm.
out. He's like, show us everything in there. I don't know if he wants to show everything in there. But what we have been getting, apparently, he thinks it does himself good. I'm not sure. What FBI, the whole FBI situation, are you one that thinks Louisville's going to get hammered, or this is going to be hard on all these teams in the end, or is it something that's going to it feels worse now than it's going to end up being?
I really go back and forth on this, and I did with the Catino Powell thing too. I thought, this is going to be horrible. They're going to give Louisville the death penalty. And then I kind of was like, probably not that much is going to happen. They wound up taking the banner, which I kind of thought was going to happen, but then you're kind of like, nah, they're not going to do that.
They've never done that before. They've never done that
This
before.
is the FBI. And I think a lot of it depends on how much the FBI turns over to the NCAA because they don't have subpoena power. They can't wiretap these hotel rooms. They don't have the power to figure all this out by themselves. So if the FBI turns it over, I think they're going to slam these schools. If they don't, I don't know what can happen that they can prove happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if, the Jordan Fair situation, and I actually want to hear, and, I'm looking for anything to try to clear them of this. But if all he said on there was, hey, you got to keep it quiet, or, is that enough? Is that enough? Is that enough? If you're the NCAA, did he participate? Did it come? Could he have just been in the room and they started bringing it up? He's like, what's going on here? Hey, y'all keep all that quiet. There has to be, to me, the context of it is important too.
Right.
If he just said that, is he actually planning it, or is he just saying something to get out of the situation?
Well, the FBI, too, probably isn't putting it all out there because if they're going to have to go to trial, you don't want to expose all of your evidence to people you're going against beforehand. Do they have, transfers into Brian Bowen Sr.'s account? We don't know what they have.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is up in the air. We don't know how much they have on these schools.
And you know what I think? This is kind of weird, but I think makes it worse for the whole situation. It just seems worse. This guy in Adidas, his name's Gatto. It's like I'm serious. It's
like a mob.
It's like a mob deal. It's like if the guy's name was John Smith, nobody would be up in arms. This guy, his name's Gatto, so you're thinking something dirty's
Merle
going on there.
Code, all these guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Patino and Gatto are talking about a recruit
Right, the Southern
laundering
District of
money.
New York.
100%.
That's who prosecuted the mob. Was the Southern District of New York. So.
Exactly. That makes it even worse. But so Rick, okay, let's go back to Rick.
Okay.
What's he need to do to? He obviously wants to coach again.
Yes.
How long is he radioactive?
I don't know, because I kind of thought maybe this upcoming season, he could go to a smaller program if he were willing and make a difference there. And he would help that program, I think, not only on the basketball court, but in terms of media coverage. All of a sudden, he goes to some mid-major, everybody's interested in what they're going to do. You got a lot more media coverage, and that's going to help your program out, you would think. But like I said, I thought that would happen this offseason, and it hasn't. Maybe next year, but you don't know when the FBI is going to take action and start pursuing these schools, you know what I'm saying? Taking it to court, or when the NCAA is going to get involved, because then it's all going to come back up again. So I don't know. There has to be like an opportune time before that happens for him to get a job, I would think.
I know. I thought he might have a shot this year, too. That Rhode Island job looked like, that fits perfectly, even though they had I thought maybe that would be a great
fit
something
for him,
up east.
One thing I've kind of thought of, too, is once the NBA season is done, does he join Billy Donovan's staff?
Ooh, good call.
That's something I've floated out there. They're close. He has NBA experience. I
was wondering that. Rick taking an assistant's position, but to me now it's to the point he has to do something to rehabilitate himself. Right. The natural option would be television. You go on television, you become likable. Tom Crean, he got a job. Everybody goes on there 1 year.
Rick's a great talker. People would love to watch him.
He would. I think he could rehabilitate his image somewhat. While it looks like he's digging himself a hole every time he speaks, he does come across as being open and like, here, look at it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if in the long run that does him any good, but being an assistant at that level, Kelvin Sampson did the same thing. Kelvin Sampson, he got busted, and he was doing it at Indiana, some of the stuff. And he coached in the NBA. He's at Houston, University of Houston. He's rumored for NBA head jobs.
Right.
That's a great call there, Lindsay. It might be a good
book it,
career
write
path.
it down.
All right, we're here with Lindsay Goff. We're talking basketball. We come back, we'll have more football and basketball talk here at the Sunday Sports Buzz. Greg Brom and Lindsay Goff here at the Sunday Sports Buzz. You know what? Let's move on to a guy who doesn't make any news at all, Chris Mack. Okay, he gives you nothing really juicy. He's like a regular guy, man.
He is.
It's hard not to like that guy. he seems like he's one of us, really. He's the anti-Rick in that regard. Rick had that kind of elite status, and this guy's just
Oh, and
a
Rick
normal
hated
dude.
social media. And Chris Mack is all over it, posting family
All
pictures.
over.
We know where he's eating. Like,
Great image. I mean, he's putting off the number. I mean, his PR firm is fantastic. His wife's probably his wife because she's fantastic.
Did you know
on what
she's from
put.
Louisville?
You know what? I had heard that. I had heard that. Even though now everybody's going to start investigating, like you can't be claiming. They're going to start investigating all the. Is they really? Are they really from this
Right.
area? But Mac, you know, he's on the recruiting trail. It looks like there's slim pickings out there. I don't know. What should we expect from Chris Mack this recruiting season? What could he possibly add for next year?
well, I expected him to do better in the graduate transfer market. They've landed one so far. Cunningham, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. I expected them to land a couple, maybe 2, 3 more of those guys, or 2, 3 total, not
Yeah.
2, 3 more.
Sure.
And a couple of, I'm not expecting them to go get 5-star, top 5 kids, but maybe some 3 stars, maybe a 4-star, something in that range. Some people that you can develop and then bring in some leadership now that Deng Adel and Ray Spalding and Anas Mahmoud and Quentin Snyder are all gone. And that's not the case. They're striking out on every player that they seem to be interested in.
Yeah, that's what it seems like so far. And, you know, I think he probably is trying to go for those people that you're suggesting.
I'm sure he is.
Okay. And the grad transfers, I'm with you there. I not sure why they're not a more attractive spot for a grad transfer. Whatever happens to them, it's probably not going to happen within a year. You come in, you play your year. Now,
But I understand those players not wanting to risk it either.
exactly,
It's the last year of their
Damian
career.
Lee and or Trey Lewis. I mean, they came and do the same thing, and they self-imposed.
Right.
But they're not self-imposing anymore. I don't think that's happening. So I think you're good there. I'm sure he has a safety valve. Okay, he's going to try for these guys, and then if he doesn't get any of the 3, 4, 5-star, you just got to get bodies. I think
Right.
he's just going to bring in bodies, you know, guys to take some minutes. It'd be great if they got a big guy.
There's in-state talent. I mean, kids would love to play at Louisville. So.
I think he might go that route. Somebody will hustle, a Dwayne Sutton type, who will be up there and have the passion for the university. But a big guy would be nice. I mean, they got Enoch, the transfer from Connecticut. Malik Williams is a big guy who likes to play on the perimeter. You know, underneath, I think underneath is where they're going to be hurting.
Yeah, them and Kentucky both are very guard heavy going
Yeah.
into next season. So I think they both need bigs, Louisville especially. I mean, there was a guy transferring from Eastern Kentucky, DeAndre Bradshaw, who had transferred from Belmont. He never actually played at EKU, and then once they fired their coach, he decided he wanted to leave. So maybe somebody like that's from in-state,
Yep.
had offers out of high school at Division I programs. You know, maybe they try to go after guys like that.
Yeah, and I think he needs to have some of those guys in reserve. Okay, we need somebody just come in here and come off the bench. Bring those guys in. I'm sure what he's doing now is working next year's market. Like, I got to have a big class next
Yeah,
year.
you have to.
Now they're going to use they're going to use this FBI thing against them for several years to come. So it's going to be tough to overcome that. Now, expectations for next year for Louisville. What do you think
You're talking about
is
the upcoming
reasonable?
season.
This upcoming season, the collection of guys they have now. You add Cunningham. Let's say you just get a guy to come in and fill a bench role. You got Darius Perry and Jordan Wara and VJ, who's got to have a big year. Ryan McMahon. What is a reasonable expectation of this team?
I'm going to cop out again. I go really back and forth on this as well. Initial impressions, I want to say, oh, they've got Chris Mack. They've got all these players coming back. Of course they're going to make the NCAA tournament. But this same group did not make the NCAA tournament with Quentin Snyder and Anas Mahmoud and Ray Spalding and Deng Adel. So I don't know what to expect out of them. I don't know how much Chris Mack versus David Padgett can impact this same group of players. We've been expecting VJ King to have a big season for 2 years now, and it hasn't happened yet. Now, maybe now that Ray and Deng are gone, this is his chance to really break out. We'll have to wait and see. I think Darius Perry is going to evolve a lot and grow up on the basketball court. He made a difference this year, I think. But I don't know what to expect from them when all you're really changing is one player and a coach.
Yeah, Darius made a difference in the game, except just don't foul a guy with 0.9 seconds. 0.9 seconds on there.
He hustles on defense all year.
Too
I'll
much
give him
hustle.
that.
Too much hustle. And VJ, you know what? If VJ doesn't, this is his year. Okay,
It has
this
to
is
be.
your third coach now. If you don't get it done and take that next step with this guy, then it's you. It's not the coach. It's
Yeah.
you. So VJ, I expect him to have a big year. I'm with you. If they go to the NCAA tournament, A++ year. If they make it to the NCAA tournament, I think the expectations should probably be that it's going to be very tough. It's going to be hard to do. But the only thing I see that is to their advantage a little more than last year is the schedule is very tough. But within the toughness of the schedule, they have a lot of opportunities at home to get
Yeah.
quality wins. Last year, I thought most of their quality win opportunities were road games. They're going to be hard anyway, the road game. At home, they didn't have a lot of like a multitude of quality opportunities. The one big one they had was Virginia, and if they get it, they're in. And they had it.
They
and
had
they
it.
had it, and they couldn't hold on to it. But this year, at home, forget Kentucky. You do have Kentucky at home. Maybe Chris Mack has better luck at home than Rick, but he's going to be outmanned.
We don't know what Kentucky's looking like right
He's
now.
gonna be outmanned. You got Duke at home. You got Clemson, Miami, NC State, Notre Dame, Virginia, and North Carolina. That's about 7-8 games. You win 2 or 3. That might be enough to get you in
Yeah.
if you're an 11-12 loss team. But that's the only thing I can say that I give them an opportunity to have the quality wins. That this team had wins, but they didn't have quality wins.
Well, and another thing to look at, too, David Padgett had no head coaching experience. He was the third guy on the bench for Rick Pitino. And so he was kind of baptized by fire, I guess, this past season, whereas Chris Mack has coached a team as a head coach. He's been to the NCAA tournament. He's done all these things that you want to see Louisville basketball do. So in that aspect, he's been there, done that. Of course, this is a different team on a different level, but he has the experience.
Yes, he does, and he's going to have the attention of the players. Last year, when you go from Rick Pitino and all that distraction that was going on, and David Padgett, unless you do something fantastic, he's not going to be your coach the next year. You have a tendency to know that in the back of your mind. And while you might be played hard for him, your job on the court wasn't on the line. And this guy, new coach, new system, everybody's going to be reinvigorated a little bit, trying a little bit harder with a clean slate. If he gets to the tournament this year, Grand Slam home run season
You
if
have
they
to
do
be
that.
happy about that. Yeah.
Yes. All right, we come back. We're talking more Kentucky with the host of Kentucky Sports
gosh.
Television right here, Lindsey Goff, and we'll be right back here at the Sunday Sports Buzz. We talked a lot in the last segment about the Louisville roster, but this Kentucky roster maybe has as many question marks as the Louisville counterpart does, because guys in the draft right now who haven't hired agents don't know for sure if they're coming back or not. 2 guys in particular, Jared Vanderbilt and Lindsey. Why was he not participating in the combine, and what do you think that says about the decision he's going to have to make?
Well, he hasn't officially said, but I firmly believe that it's his injuries. He didn't play in the beginning of the season due to an ankle injury until SEC play. Then he didn't play any of the postseason, also due to an ankle injury. I think he doesn't want to hurt himself further doing these workouts, so that leads me to believe this injury is more serious than maybe he and Kentucky let on. And I think if you're not able to go through these workouts, he's already not grading out very well in mock drafts. He's a low second rounder, if that. He's shown up in 2019 mock drafts. And you aren't there to improve your draft stock through interviews or any of it. I don't know how he's going to get drafted. So I almost think he has to come back to Kentucky.
Yeah, and you know what? When he played last year, he brought something to the table they did not have. I mean, he could get rebounds. He was an athlete in there, and that's where they're a little weak is in the 4 and 5 position down low
On the boards.
On the boards, and this guy got rebounds. Now he's hurt all the time, apparently. So, the question you have at Kentucky that it does enter more and more players' minds when they're deciding whether to come back is am I already has Cal already recruited over me? Will I come back and play less or be less of a factor? I mean, so these guys got to make a calculated guess on how important they're going to be to the next year's team. I think it's tough. It's a tough spot. I mean, you either go after 1 year or else you're like, I might not even play.
I don't think he's recruiting over Jared Vanderbilt and PJ Washington right now. They are bringing in a ton of guards, and they're going to be so guard heavy. And I know Calipari's really into that positionless basketball, so are they going to go for like a small ball lineup? I'm not really sure. If I was Quade Green, I probably would have gotten out because they're bringing in a ton of guards. But as far as Jared Vanderbilt, PJ Washington, even Wenyen Gabriel, I think they would see the court if they decide to return next
Yeah, now PJ Washington went through the combine. Now, some of his measurements and measurables were not what they were at the Kentucky combine.
Right.
And by large margins of difference.
Yeah, like 10 inches on the vertical.
On the vertical. I mean, it was jumping off of one leg, he's one leg hopping, I guess, at the combine, instead of, I don't know, Kentucky must have had a trampoline or something on the vertical. But PJ, if he comes back, I mean, that's something they don't have. You're right. They don't have a beef underneath on this team. So what do you think he's going to do?
His decision is different because he hasn't graded out that well at the combine, but he did play well in the 5-on-5.
Yeah.
He scored 10 points. I think the NBA scouts are wanting to see him on the perimeter more because I feel like that's what the NBA is going towards,
Yeah.
and he hasn't really been able to show that. And like you said, his numbers weren't that great. They said he did well in the interviews, but I don't know how much that really means. He said previously, and his dad has told the Courier-Journal that if he's not a guaranteed first-round pick, he wants to come back. And then they kind of walked it back, and they were like, well, if he's early second, guaranteed money, like, he might still stay in the draft. I don't think he wants to come back to Kentucky, but he's also projecting in the 2019 mock drafts. I think he needs to if he wants to improve.
Yeah, and his free throw shooting too, man, was a big
brutal.
factor, and he would have to really improve that even at the NBA level. The money, that's the thing now. It's not about even getting drafted. I think you can make money. A lot of these guys need money. I mean, they're coming from situations their families need money, and they have the pressure of supporting their family. Right. And I feel for guys making that decision, even though the fans may not understand why this guy's not coming back. Why is he leaving, even though he's not even going to get drafted? These guys got to make a living. Some of these guys.
You haven't been there.
Yeah, so exactly on this. So if everybody comes back. Let's say Vanderbilt, PJ Washington, they're back. Where is Kentucky ranked in the preseason?
Oh, they've got to be inside the top 15, and I think it depends on whether point guard Ashton Hagens reclassified. They talked about he's a 2019 commit, could reclassify to the class of 2018. I think the three players you mentioned, well, all four of them really, that could come back. Their decisions kind of weighing in the balance.
But Diallo, he's not coming back, right? Diallo,
no, he's already signed. He's already signed.
Gotcha.
So it would be, or is it only three? PJ Washington, Jared Vanderbilt, and Wenyen Gabriel. Sorry, there's not four. Those three, if they were all to come back, you've got to put them inside the top 10, I would think. Maybe like 6, 7.
Oh, you know what?
I think you've got to put them up pretty high.
Hey, it's been a couple of years. If he gets all those guys, but Final Four, they're going to the Final Four. The tournament actually runs through Louisville next year. They're going to be good enough probably with guys coming back. Cal, his model, the model he uses for that program needs a few good players to come back every year. So he needs a couple, and those are good guys. They come back, that's enough veteran leadership, that's enough veteran demeanor and maturity. I think that they're going to run through Louisville and then probably get there if he gets all those guys back. Now, Quade decided to stay, right? Now, what if this Ashton Hagens... if this guy reclassifies, are you reconsidering that if you're a Quade?
I mean, he said that he's staying, and his parents have said that he's staying. If I were him, I would think about that a little more, but also the transfer market is so saturated right now. I think at this point it might be harder for him to say I'm going to go somewhere else versus right after the end of the season. So I don't know, and right now I don't think Ashton Hagens is going to reclassify, but it is a possibility.
Okay, great. So I think they're a top 5 team, maybe in the top 3 if they get all those back for next season. And it's been a few years. Cal, it might be a Final Four squad that he has on his hands. You know what? Interesting in basketball this week, the ACC too came out with a proposal. Okay. Interesting. Okay, taking the tournament from 68 to 72. What do you think about that?
I think it's a horrible idea.
Do you?
If it's not broke, don't fix it. And the
Yeah.
NCAA tournament is great. People across the country that don't even watch college basketball love the NCAA tournament. And I think it almost devalues it. Like, oh, we're just going to let everybody in, you know. You don't, like, Syracuse this past year, 16-loss Syracuse probably would have been in.
Yes.
For what?
It devalues the regular
To
season
lose
even
in the
more.
first round? Like, what's the point? And I know that they compared it to college football and all these teams get postseason advantages.
It's not the
but
same. It's not really the bowl system is not. It's not. You're not playing for the championship
four
in football.
that
Yes,
could win.
there's 4.
And how many of these bowl games do we really care about? Yes, it's good if you get to go,
You
but
only care about the Foster Farms Bowl where Purdue is playing. That's the only one to play
absolutely,
in. You care
absolutely.
about it.
But in all honesty, you know, teams that barely get that 6th win and still get into a bowl game, and you're just kind of like.
Yeah, I don't think that's a great comparison. Now, the one thing about going
But
from
that's
68
what they use.
I know. One
so-
thing about going from 68 to 72, the good thing about it is you really don't have to.
It would help the mid-majors.
You can still play. You don't have to start the tournament earlier.
Right.
It doesn't really throw the tournament out of whack because now you're doing 2 games on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday. You can do 4, and it feels like Thursday and Friday somewhat.
Well, that would do a favor to the mid-major schools like Middle Tennessee.
Oh,
some
that's
of those
they're going to
schools.
let those in, let those. It's about job security for the coaches, but you're going to have the bubble is going to get really bad if we expand it any more.
Yeah.
72 makes some sense to me. Like if you'd have gone
Some people want to cut it.
if you'd have
to like
gone 130,
32.
if you'd have done 136 or something like double, I'm like, great, no. But 72 maybe, 3-point line back.
I don't hate that. It's back in the NBA anyway. College basketball is one of those. It's very different than any other league. You know, in high school you play quarters. In the NBA you play quarters. In the NCAA you play halves, and then in the NBA you also have to move the 3-point line back. So that would better prepare these players that do have a pro future for the NBA. But in the same aspect, the mid-majors, the guys that maybe aren't athletic, don't have those pro aspirations. I don't see how that's going to benefit them.
Yeah, you know what? I'm probably okay with it because sometimes the game has become a 3-point shooting contest rather than like what traditionally basketball you thought was. Probably okay with that. The shot clock resetting to 20 seconds after an offensive rebound. I think I'd be okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Widen the lane, whatever that does for you. I don't have a big problem with these, quarters though. I'm not for
The
quarters
ACC
though.
opposes the quarters. I like the quarters.
The only thing I don't like is in the quarter system the way it is now, you really don't have a 1-and-1. You
Yeah.
hit 5 and you go to 2. I like the pressure of a 1-and-1.
Yeah.
If you could find a way to keep that in there where, I get fouled, I'm more comfortable because I know I got a second shot at it. I
That's
like
true.
the 1-and-1.
That's
That's the
true.
only thing I don't like about that. All right, we're here with Lindsey Goff. We got one more segment in her debut on the Sunday Sports Buzz. You can see her on Sports Night, Kentucky Sports Television. We'll be right back here on the Sports Buzz in a moment. Lindsey Goff has joined us tonight, and glad to have her on the show. Hopefully, we'll get her back in the rotation here on Sunday Sports Buzz. And we haven't even talked about the NBA playoffs. Cavs they won big last night. Is LeBron? How much trouble they in against the Celtics?
They're not bulletproof like they used to be. They had trouble with Indiana, and they killed the Raptors, which kind of hurt me. Dwayne Casey's from my hometown, so I always root for Dwayne Casey. That hurt me a little bit, but the Celtics are giving them some fits. So I would like to see a shakeup personally in the finals, but LeBron is just so good. It's hard to beat him.
Yeah, you know what? I'm rooting for LeBron, actually, because now it seems like he's carrying the entire team.
Literally.
Himself. People think they bury him when they go down 2-0 to the Celtics. And here, if he wins, just win at home. Win at home, go 2-2, and then steal Game 7 in Boston. That's what he's got to do.
I think it goes to 7.
I think it goes 7-2. It is going to be tough, though, because Boston does not have to win on the road. They just got to win their home games to
Right.
get to the finals. Now, Golden State, do you think Houston has a shot? I know they won the other night. I don't think they have a shot. I don't think you win 4.
I really don't. It kind of even surprised me, I guess, that Houston made it this far. I just wasn't really, paying that much attention to them. But now that Steph Curry is back and in full force for Golden State, I see them going all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't trust Houston. Like they're going
Yeah.
to have the toughness, or
Yeah.
Harden's going to disappear or something.
We know that Golden State can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so LeBron next year, Cleveland or somewhere else?
I would like to see him with my Los Angeles Lakers, personally.
Uh-huh.
I don't think he stays in Cleveland. I think he's tired of having to carry this
Carry
whole
the whole
team on
team,
his
yeah.
back. And not that he's like getting old and losing his
But he's only got so many
skill.
years left.
Right. And I think that he wants to go somewhere where maybe some other people can pick up some of the responsibility and it's not all on LeBron. And I don't blame him.
Yep. It's a good point.
And their
He might be-
management is a disaster anyway, so.
and it's going to give us something to talk about in
Right.
July and watch. The LeBron watch is on.
Another decision.
Another decision, yes. All right, let's talk a little football. Louisville, hey, bunch of night games this year, so the tailgating will be good
Mm-hmm.
early in the year. Louisville football breaking in a new quarterback, got a new defensive
At
coordinator, got a tough schedule.
Or against Alabama.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
to
that's how you
Alabama.
get to break in a new quarterback. I mean, that's a tough road for that guy.
Yeah.
But what should we expect from Louisville football this year?
Right now, I'm thinking about 7 wins. And that's, I haven't seen enough of Jawan Pass to
Yeah.
really, he's come in when Louisville's blowing people out and made some plays. And I know they've talked him up. He was a highly touted recruit. He's got the perfect body, I think, to be an NCAA quarterback. And I know he's not got the, what do you want to say, the speed and juke ability that Lamar Jackson had.
Jukeability,
Juke
I like
ability,
it. I
juking
like it.
ability. I just
Yeah.
combined that, yeah. I don't think he's quite as athletic as Lamar Jackson, but I think he can still use his legs, and I think the offense had kind of gotten used to that. I think he'll do great, but I'm not expecting much against Alabama.
I tell you what, I think Bobby's got everybody right where he kind of wants them, because they're really kind of the expectations are being lowered.
are.
And that's where he could,
That's
he's
true.
at his best. Now, Alabama, I think they'll play him tougher than people think. I do. That's tough. Their defense is phenomenal, Alabama, and now they got quarterbacks. They have more than they can play. The schedule's tougher. I'm right. I think 7 would be a really good year. Looking at that schedule that they play this year, 7 or 8. Purdue's got a tougher schedule. Kentucky, what do you think about them? It's tougher. I think their schedule's tougher than it was last year.
Yeah, I think so, because they got a lot of their harder SEC opponents at home last year, and so this year they obviously have to go on
On the road, yeah.
Yeah, Kentucky's in a tough spot too, also with a new quarterback, and they are always having a quarterback.
What's the word? What do you
competition.
think? Who's the quarterback going to be?
I'm going with Terry Touchdown Wilson right now, if I had to guess. But I know they like Gunnar Hoke. They talked him up a lot last year, and he knows the playbook a little better. I don't know what to expect. They always do this.
Are they going to? You're going to see 2?
You could. You absolutely could. I mean, Kentucky has been known to do that. Very rarely do they have a quarterback going into camp these past however many years since I've been in college.
Now, is Terry is he more the runner or the thrower?
He's more mobile. He has an arm, but yeah, he's definitely more mobile than Gunnar Hoke is. Gunnar Hoke is more of the pocket passer of the two. We'll have to wait and see. And they also have, Walker Wood out of Lafayette High School, and they've got another quarterback too. I can't even think right now, but
Yeah, so
you
a
really
lot of
don't know.
questions. Yeah, you don't know, and they still recruiting pretty good on the recruiting trail.
yeah, they're not doing bad. They've picked up their first in-state commit in 2 years the other day. So that was big for them. But
All right. Hey, Lindsay, thank you for being on the show.
thanks for having
We're
me.
going to watch you throughout the week. We're going to get you back on, and hopefully you're a regular.
All right, I hope so.
All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us. See you next week on the Sunday Sports Buzz.